What's up, you guys? This is Henry from the PSI Defense channel coming to you with a little video. I'm going to show everybody how to clear a common air leak that I've found if you screw or you put too much torque on the first strike ASA. Now, this often happens. Now, this is the Comritech ASA knob, which I actually helped Nicholas develop this because it was something I wanted to have, because under pressure, sometimes it's difficult to turn this knob. But the problem is, if when you're closing it, you put too much torque on it and you smash down that O-ring into the O-ring seat, you can shave off a sliver of the rubber or the urethane, and it can find its way up into your air chamber either into the ASA or the gun body upper. So, and hopefully it doesn't work into the regulator, but I've got plenty of videos on how to clear that out as well. So I'm going to do a little quick disassembly and kind of show you guys, you know, the ways that I've found to try to clear those leaks out. This is not my truck gun. You know, mine is black and tan, but this is an Aurora build that I'm working on. I'm using a SSD two-piece barrel with a VKS stock. I've got VKS springs inside. I'm going to ultra silk just to play around with, and of course this probably will be up for sale after I do some videos with it. I know a lot of people have been asking about truck guns because it's going to be getting cold. CO2 doesn't really work well out in the cold, so going to have another offering for you guys and some how-to know-how. All right. First, I'm just going to take these off. I'm going to remove the Aurora front end. Now, one thing I have found with the Aurora front end is that I typically have to take a round file. Where is it? I typically have to take a round file to the inside of the barrel chamber, so that way it comes loose, because it normally for some reason doesn't want to come out on its own, or it won't fit a barrel smoothly in there for some reason. I'm assuming that they fit Kurtz barrels perfectly, which makes sense, but when you're using other barrels, I have run into a little bit of fitting issues, but nothing that a quick round file won't hurt or won't solve. Alright. So I have been getting questions about the Aurora front end. I just sold one recently, and the customer was asking about how does it attach to the FSC, how solid is it? I think Sean Kempter was asking about it. He was interested in one of these. I highly recommend it. For one, it looks awesome. For two, it appears to be strong as steel, because I haven't had any problem. I've had mine in my truck for some time. It's been bumped around, rough and tumble, looks just as good as it ever did. These rails are molded into the print. It's all one piece, and the screw that goes into the front of the FSC underrail area holds it in really, really securely. So let me just get this out. Comes out like so. Like I said, SSD two-piece barrel. These are pretty fantastic. This is pretty much an adapter piece here, and you can put different lengths front on there. And this barrel is boom treated. You do have some scuff marks here, as you can see, but it is boom treated, so the inside is ultra silk, giving you some extra FPS. All right, and let me set this to the side. So that leaves your FSC here. Actually, so like I said, the bottom of this knob is the tiniest of O-rings, and to remove this knob, there is an Allen bolt directly underneath it, same size as the FSC body screws, the main body screw, the front and the rear one. So you take that out. I don't believe you have to take it out all the way, because this will just unscrew. All right. And there you go. Hopefully I can get that to focus. There we go. 2 O-rings, this clear one and this black one. The black one on the end is the O-ring of contention. And as you see, most of them will be a little frayed. You have to really inspect it good because sometimes you won't be able to see the chunk that's out of it. What I find is a really good replacement is this right here. Now this is a bag that I keep the deleted PRV stuff in. That's the spring and the plunger and the hollow grub screw that you no longer need when you do a PRV delete. Or if you use the VKS spring pad, you take the original FSC T8.1. If you get one of these, which is from the VKS that doesn't have a PRV, then you take your old spring pad out. Your old spring pad will have these guts inside of it. So if you've done a bunch of them like me, you got a bunch of those parts. Lucky for you, this O-ring at the end of the plunger is the size you need. So again, this is the plunger at the end of the pressure relief valve in the FSC. You will be removing this when you do a PRV delete, whether you do a solid grub screw or you use the VKS spring pad. You will have this. Carefully remove this O-ring. Got it. All right, now I gotta inspect this because it's a bit of a rough road coming out of there. Yeah, all of this less lethal stuff is worth taking the extra time and giving it the extra measure, because you really want to avoid malfunctions and failures. So that's what you got to do. All right. You got to take the opportunity to ultra soak this above and beneath the O-ring. Now when I air this up, if it leaks, I'm going to know that I beat that O-ring up too much. Put some ultra soak on the threads. Help out with that friction. All right. Well, I'm going to leave that out for now because we're going to try to determine, or I'm going to show you guys where the air passages can be blocked and how to remove them. All right, so just do basic, like this. Minding your O-ring. Okay, so where your O-ring was, is your air passage into your launcher. This tiny hole inside of the A4 threads at the very base is how air gets into the ASA. Where you screwed your knob at, there's a little air channel there for your on and off. Then it goes into your marker here. Best thing to do is get one of those cans of compressed air. It's like a kind of like this, but it's full of air instead of PP blaster. Don't shoot that in there. And just put that through there, and then you can blow it out. But if you don't have that, and if you have a pipe cleaner, you can stick your pipe cleaner in there. It's hard because they've milled turns into these things. So I've got that turned in there. Stick that in there. I've even taken and kind of blown in through this. Make sure that seems to be blowing fine, but really you want to get some compressor. If you got an air compressor with one of those nozzles, that's really the best thing. Put it up against it. It'll blow anything out of there. But that's where your potential for pieces of O-ring would be in your ASA. So very carefully press that in to engage the threads. And yeah, then I feel where it stopped, and don't put any torque on that. You actually, Nicholas has printed this line in there, and what I like to do is find out exactly where your launcher turns on and off, because you have, all right, where it bottoms out is there, and you turn it this much, and then you find out where it finally lets air through, and you'll hear the click, click, and then it'll gas up your launcher. So there'll be a space like from here to here. That's where it turns it off and it engages. And I'll just leave my ASA there. And what I'll do, I'll take this guy here and find out where those points are. I'll scratch a line, say off, scratch a line, say on, leave it right here when it's off. That way it's just a small little turn, and I'll engage my marker and I'm ready to go. And that way the least amount of damage to your O-ring, because it really just has to engage and seat in there. And if you torque it down too much, then you are definitely asking for trouble. All right, so I'm going to retighten this bottom bolt so that it's ready to go. I don't believe you have to tighten that too much because it will interfere. Yeah, you snug it down. Yeah, snug it down, it won't interfere. All right, so that's the ASA. Now where the FSC might have some potential for air blockage, I'll show you here. All right, remove your O-ring that holds your trigger on. Gonna do remove the regulator. It's just one screw there. I've already gone through this regulator, cleaned and ultra silked it up. Still can see some ultra silk there. Always remember, you want to push your bolt forward when you reinstall. I still see people getting hung up on that. Sometimes I still forget, but before you reinstall, you always got to slide that forward. And I'll show you guys, for anybody who may not know, you only need to slide it forward about that much. Slap your regulator on and then proceed. Okay, so I'm also going to remove the bolt, just for good measure. Now it's unlikely that your O-ring would have made it through the air passages of your launcher, through your regulator, all the way into your bolt, but it's possible. But 9 times out of 10, it's going to get hung up and caught somewhere else before it gets that far. Just got a little dirt in the threads here, some kind of schmutz. Not sure, clean that out so I can feel good about it. Okay, and again, you've got this lower corner with the bevel, and that's where the O-ring seats down in there. Either get your can of air, seat it up against there, blow it out really well, or you can get your pipe cleaner. And stick it down in through there. All right, and you should see it. Goes in here, and you should see it from this hole here, because the air enters into the launcher through the front of the regulator where your ball valve, your ball bearing valve is here, and then it gets regulated up through the spring pad and the ball valve and all that good stuff. So from here to here, that's potentially where it could get jammed up. Again, that compressed air is best. You can even push it through here, try to blow something out the back end, or blow it here. I think ideally it would be better to, if you can put your air in, actually, your straw will go in there with your compressed canned air, or your compressor and blower. Okay, also, yeah, so that's really the only airline inside the launcher, because from there, it goes up through your regulator to this hole here into your heat core through this hole right here. So if it's entered your heat core, you can you'll either be able to see it, you can unscrew your heat core by taking you see these flat sides of the heat core, take your crescent wrench or 5/8 or whatever size actual flathead wrench you can put on there. I have a crescent wrench down here, it's over there, but I'll put that there, I'll unscrew the cap. You can visually inspect and be able to tell if it's in there. So essentially that's it. That if you check those areas and you find that either you can find a little piece of O-ring, but if you've blown it out, maybe you didn't see the tiniest little sliver, because sometimes you can shoot your FSC, then your trigger will go limp, or when you air up the launcher, then you take your bottle off and then you open up your ASA, you hear air slowly bleed out, like it should be rushing out, but it's slowly bleeding out. You have some kind of blockage there, and that's typically where it will be. So, if you have to go in and take apart your regulator, there's other videos pertaining to that, but it'll probably be in here, take a dime, unscrew the front, remove your ball valve, clean that all out. That's always really good to get in there, clean out, ultra silk it, or, whatever. Don't go overboard with the ultra silk. That's why I use this little brush. There's even enough on here to do quite a few O-rings and whatnot. But yeah, you just want to use a little bit of ultra silk, clean that out. If it's not in there, it could possibly be in here, but if you have a solid spring pad, it's not going to be in the back end where the spring is. Although if you have it open, you can definitely blow it out. If you've tried everything else, go in here, blow that out, and this air passage from here to here, you can potentially blow that out. You'll see where the little tiny pinholes are, and just take your compressed air, blow it all the way out. But rarely will you have to go this far, because going through the steps of the ASA and into this single channel into the gun body, 9 times out of 10, I believe, you will have figured out your air leak. So again, you just push your bolt and air chamber into the gun body, and then I let the rear cap do the work, so it lines up everything beautifully. Just turn it till it's snug. Get it hand tight. Then put your bolt forward, just about that much. Yeah, let me do it so you guys can see it. Put your bolt forward, just that much. If you need to, you can take a Allen key and do it. It should slide really easily, y'all. If it's not sliding super easy, then you might need to do some more cleaning and lubing, but yeah, you just need to push it forward just about that much. Make sure your regulator is cleaned and lubed, ready to go. So I'm gonna slap that on. Boom. Then reassemble. I highly recommend, even more than recommend, I think this is mandatory for anyone who wants to get into these air launchers, It's a great hobby. It's a great alternative protection method for you, your property, and your loved ones. But if you don't know how to work on these, you can't continue. It's not practical. You can, if you want to, send it back to me. I've only had to have, I think maybe, I really think one guy has had to send me back a launcher, and I did some maintenance to it where he broke a firing pin screw. I put a Z-ram screw in there and sent it back to him, but it's just not practical. Shipping and waiting for your launcher, and then paying me to do the repairs, whether I cover it under my assumed warranty. That's at my discretion, because these things are subject to user error and user damage. But I like to stand behind my launchers. I like to help people get them going. That's what I started the PSI Defense channel for. But you've got to be able to work on these. If what I'm showing you now is really beyond the scope of your abilities, this may not be the hobby for you, and might not be the best way for you to seek to deter someone from breaking into your home, attacking you. I would consider trying something that's a little bit more reliable, a little less prone to needing as much maintenance. It's just the facts. I mean, this stuff is very enjoyable as a hobby. I would say, do your best to learn as much as you can, and don't rush anything, don't force anything, don't over torque anything, over tighten anything. Like these screws here. If you over tighten these, you can get them stuck in there, and then you can't get your FSC apart. So you just snug them a little bit. They don't work themselves loose. They don't hold. They don't have any benefit to reliability. It just holds your upper to your lower. And if you've torqued it and you've broken that head off, or you've broken a Allen key off in there, then you're really messed up in the game, waiting on a true fix. And trust me, I've been there. That's not where you want to be. So, all right. Again, as you can see, usually that's black on the inside, but I had to do some filing. Being that these are SLS printed from Grimberg, I mean, absolutely can withstand that. All right, now insert my barrel, put up BKS bolt spring. Make sure both my detents are in and secure. Boom. All right. Now I'm just gonna set my O-ring in place. ASA on top of there. You want to make sure these are nice and snug, so the ASA O-ring is smashed and seated inside there properly, so that it won't pop out. No chance of leaks. All right, there we go for now. That is how you check and try to clear an air leak if you have one inside of your ASA, or that you just can't find out why your HPA equipped FSC is leaking. And the way you mitigate that, when you get it all fixed up, do not torque this down whatsoever. Once it's done, once it's bottomed out, stop. You barely even have to touch it, and honestly, you don't even have to turn it all the way till it bottoms out. You just got to turn it off till it shuts the air off, which is long before it bottoms out. So, all right, guys, this is Henry from the PSI Defense channel. Saying make sure you show some love. Don't worry about what others do. Just be awesome yourself, and everything will work out, guys. Enough of the pettiness, of the bickering. Show some love today, guys. Goodness gracious, we got enough drama in this world without having drama in our less lethal community. So, guys, knock it off. All right, until next video, see you guys later. Peace.